Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name is Payne, and welcome to yet another anime review video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a show that got a lot of attention in its prime, but unfortunately, it's died down over the last few years, and I'm just doing the best I can to try and bring it back, and that is 2006's Kyoto Animation's The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. It started off as a manga in 2003 that's just called Haruhi Suzumiya, and it was made from 2003, June of '03, to June of 2011, with a total of 11 volumes in 8 years. And ever since then, there have been a lot of stuff made about this show. There was an anime series, which we're going to talk about right now. There were 6 manga total, including one called The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. There were 2 original net animations that were made shortly before the second season aired, or the 2009 rebroadcast aired. More than that later. There have been a total of 8 video games that were released regarding the show, and there was an anime film called The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, made back in 2010. Now, before we get into some of the other stuff, or actually the plot, let's talk about a pretty interesting way of how Kyoto Animation showed the Haruhi Suzumiya series. Now, in 2006, it was just 13 episodes, from, what was it, July? Wait, where the hell did I pull out July? It was from April to June of 2006. But what was interesting about how they revealed the second season was that it was a whole rebroadcast of the show. In 2009, Bandai Entertainment, or Kyoto Animation, either or, I mean, they practically make the same stuff, decided to broadcast the show differently. They decided to broadcast Season 1 in a different order alongside Season 2. Season 2 was the normal order because it was the first time they showed it, but they decided to change the order in Season 1. Because that the order has been changed a few times, they have also been given special names just to determine which one is which. You have the Kyoan order, which is the original order of the show for anyone who watched it in 2006. There was the Haruhi order, which is basically a couple of differences, especially in the first episode. There was the 2009 rebroadcast order, which I don't even want to get into specifics on that because it's just confusing. And then there was the broadcast order in the DVD box set for Season 1 and 2, which was the only constant change in both Season 1 and 2 for the order of the show. I believe that, the people who wrote the show and who decided to broadcast the show did it in this order because it shows a different storyline. It gives the viewer an opportunity to show a different storyline of the show, and I think that's a pretty interesting factoid, even though we didn't even mention anything about the plot yet. Speaking of which, I think we should get to that. So the story revolves around a guy by the name of Kyoan. He is a high schooler, pretty normal kid, nothing really unusual about him until he befriends a new girl by the name of Haruhi Suzumiya, also known as the title of the show. It is discovered that she likes the supernatural, specifically aliens, time travelers, and espers. And with the help of Kyoan, they make a club known as the SOS Brigade. And after making it, they recruit a few members. They recruit Yuki, who is the member of the reading club, or the only remaining member of the reading club, which was the club that uses the room that the SOS Brigade uses now. There was Asahina, or Miss Asahina, is how she is said in the show. She is someone that Haruhi just pulled out of thin air. She is just someone random. Haruhi thought that a way to promote the group was to get someone attractive, and that's what they did. And, well, not to spoil anything, but she ends up sexually harassing her for most of the series, and that is easily the most uncomfortable thing, and I'm happy that I mentioned that now because I didn't want to until later in the video. And then finally there was Koizumi, who is a transfer student that Haruhi found just wandering in the hallway one day, and just decided to recruit him. Now, after a while of just random stuff regarding SOS Brigade stuff, they don't even do anything, they just sit there and do stuff. Kyoan discovers that Yuki, Asahina, Koizumi, and Haruhi are all pretty different. Yuki is discovered as a robot made by aliens. Koizumi is an esper, which is a psychic. There is Asahina, who is discovered to be a time traveler. But the most compelling one is that Haruhi has the power to end the world, to really end the world make it again just like a mold of clay. But the only difference is that she doesn't know she has these powers, but they are put into effect every time she gets bored. And so for the rest of the series, they do all these random adventures just so she don't get bored and just so she doesn't end the world. There is a number of things that they have done throughout the series, from playing a baseball tournament to solving a murder to even making a movie of questionable quality. That's not even it with the show. The first season is mainly just the introduction of the characters and giving the viewer something to get used to in the coming years. And when the coming years finally came in the second season, that's where the show turned a lot of heads. It started when they showed a series of episodes known as the Endless Eight. The story is that it's the last day of summer, Haruhi has a laundry list of stuff, literally, and decided that, it wasn't enough in the end. And after Kyon realizes that it's almost like he's experiencing the same day multiple times, he discovers from Asahina, who can't time travel, and from Yuki, that they've been going through the same day approximately 15,000 times. If you really think about it from Yuki's perspective, it's actually pretty sad. And so in the final episode, Kyon realizes that, the day doesn't have to be over, and he invites everyone to his place to study for a test. Except for Haruhi, who ends up playing video games the entire time, but that's besides the point. And that ends the Endless Eight, and that's really it for the second season. Now let's talk about the aftermath of this show. Because that this show came out at around 2006, it was credited as one of the first viral anime shows on YouTube, because YouTube is less than a year old at this time and is just barely starting out. And one peculiar thing about this show that is posted on YouTube a lot is a specific dance known as the Hari Hari Yukai dance. It was a dance that the entire cast did at the end of every episode in season 1, and ever since they posted that, ever since they showed it at the end of every episode, and ever since they showed that dance, it took social media by storm, or what was left of it, because really in 2006, the only social media there was YouTube, Facebook, and MySpace. That's how old it was. Barely Facebook. Everyone was using MySpace at that time. And there have been hundreds and hundreds of videos of people dressing up as the cast, doing the dance. There was a video of someone at a cosplay contest doing it. It grew. It is ridiculously huge. And one of the reasons why in 2006 and 2007 that this was a relatively huge show was because of a very half-assed series that was made by Bandai Entertainment, who ended up getting the rights to the English dub for the show. And to promote the English dub for the show, they decided to make a live-action version of Haruhi Suzumiya known as the ASOS Brigade. And the story is really Haruhi, Yuki, and Miss Asahina. They go and they really look at how the English dub for the show is being made, interviewing some of the people, and they also have a little storyline on the side too. Now, all I can say about it, looking at it from a 2018 perspective, even though this was made back in 2006, is that it's one of those things where it's so bad it's good. It's one of those things where it's awful. The quality is awful. There's some people who are in the show that are not acting, who are not normally actors, who shouldn't be acting, like moving acting, not just like voice acting. You have a few voice actors in there. And it's one of those things where it was so bad that I ended up loving it. But the unfortunate part is that the only videos that you can find about it are on YouTube. See, what Bandai Entertainment did originally was that they made their own URL. They made their own website, and they called it the ASOSbrigade.com. They linked it to their MySpace page, which ended up being one of the most viewed MySpace pages after 24 hours, because that's how popular this show was. And all the videos were posted on their own ASOS Brigade website. And it was so huge that a local convention actually had them on. And I'm just going to say that the show skyrocketed from there. This was mid-2007, and the popularity for a while never really dipped down. Well, it wasn't until the end of the second season that the show didn't really have that feel like it used to, and so it slowly was dying down and was replaced by way huge, bigger shows such as Sword Art Online or Attack on Titan, shows that came out a couple of years after the second season ended. But Funimation, who ended up getting the rights from Bandai Entertainment afterwards, decided that they were going to try and revive the fandom a little bit. In 2016, there was a video that was made where it had another live-action Haruhi Suzumiya. This time it had Christina V, who is a very well-known dub actor, and also performed as Haruhi Suzumiya in a few Bandai Entertainment commercials promoting season 2. The goal that they were trying to do is that they were trying to bring back the fandom, and to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the show, they were releasing a DVD set with all of these stuff, and they decided that they were going to do a contest where they were going to have to make their best Hare Hare Yukai video of the dance. And a week afterwards, there were videos released. There was a video that Funimation released of all the people that entered, and towards the end was the winner. And I gotta give it to them. They actually did pretty decent, but not enough to bring it back for a while. And before I mention more about the fandom, there were a couple of original net animations that were made by Kyoto Animation. One of them was called The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. It was made at around 2009. This was about shortly before the second season, as well as the second original net animation, and it's basically just a sequel of the first season, except it's in a different animation. And that's why I think it's pretty cool. There are times where a couple of the dub actors, if you listen to the dub version, they try to take this as seriously as they possibly can, but they can't. I don't know, I think it's kind of pretty funny. And then there was another series with the main character being one of the supporting characters of season 1, known as Nyonon Chiruya-san. That one, out of all the Haruhi Suzumiya stuff, I suggest you don't watch. And that is because it's weird. It looks like Chiruya-san is the only character that has a personality, while everyone else doesn't. And even the dub actors are getting into it too, and I just think it's creepy. There is also a couple other things that were made. There was The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, which was made back in 2010, and then there was a spin-off to the main series that we're talking about here, known as The Disappearance of Yuki Nagato. It was made at around 2015, but that is for another video. Now, onto the actual show. The plot is pretty interesting, to say the least, and here is why. I know that most of the series is basically just fillers of them doing stuff, anything they could find. Not to mention that most of them have nothing to do with aliens, time travelers, or espers, but the fact that they did all this stuff and it's in connection to the main goal, which is to make Haruhi not bored, I think it's pretty simple, and it makes for a pretty interesting premise towards this second half of the first season and for the entire second season. The characters, there was no character development. Okay, I can't say that. There was a little bit of character development, but there was really nothing else to develop about these characters that weren't already established when they first got into the show. The array of characters is one of the most entertaining to watch, and I think it's one of the best parts of the show. You have Haruhi, who is the one who's just out there and is not really afraid to take any risk at all. You have Yuki, who is the only one who doesn't have a personality, and that's her personality and no one really cares. You have Asahina, who is one of those people that tries to make people happy, but at the same time she is afraid of Haruhi because of all of these stuff that she has done to her. I feel like I'm going to get arrested just by mentioning what the stuff's going on. And oh yeah, not to mention that she's also known for wearing a bunch of outfits, so I'm not going to go towards that. And for Koizumi, the best way I could say for Koizumi is that he's like a douche, but he's a good douche. He helps out everyone else, but at the same time, he sticks to his guns when he has to sometimes, but, he also helps out Kyon or Haruhi or anybody. And then there's Kyon, who is the voice of reason throughout the entire thing. He is the narrator, which I think is pretty funny too. And he is, I think, one of my favorites as well, because he always second guesses everything Haruhi does. And he is the one that I think any normal human being would relate to. But the good news is, I haven't met anyone who's normal yet. And the final thing I want to talk about regarding the show is the music. Not only adding to the Hare Hare Yukai, which was the ending to Season 1, there was also another song that was played at around midway through Season 1, towards the end of Season 1, in which Haruhi decided that she was going to be the lead singer of a band. And that band, they were called the Enops or something like that. Or at least that's how you say it. It's just capital letters with E-N-O-P-S on it. And she was the lead singer with Yuki playing a guitar solo that in my opinion is better than Eddie Van Halen, singing a song known as God Knows. And I think that's one of the very few remnants of the show that's still alive today because I saw there was a couple of covers of it that were made fairly recently. And, you know, I think a small step is any step, I guess. Now, overall, this show is personally one of my absolute favorite shows. It is a show that is entertaining all the way through, and there's no stopping to it. Regardless of who's on the screen, it's entertaining, and regardless of what show you're watching, if it's The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, or if it's that really weird original net animations, then it's still funny. It's still entertaining, and it still gets a reaction out of you regardless. And I can't say that I suggest this show to a specific number of people. I suggest this to anyone because this is fairly entertaining. And with that, I'm going to give The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, both seasons 1 and 2, a perfect 10 out of 10. It'll be the first one of this entire series. I guarantee you this is not going to be the only 10 out of 10. There's a bunch of other shows that I haven't done yet, but you know, it's a good thing that this was the first one. And I also can't wait for the future when I am going to review The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya and The Disappearance of Yuki Nagato, which, if you really think about it, which makes those videos like way shorter because I can just post a link to this video anytime. Anyway, that is it for this video. My name is Payne, and I'll see you in the next anime review. Again, if you like this video, like it down below. If you want to see more videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I guess. Oh, jeez. Oh, this is fun. But again, my name is Payne, and I'll see you in the next video.